So one of the games that I'm looking forward to most this year is probably FIFA, because it's one of my favourite games, because I quite like to just turn it on, and it's a nice game that I can just easily quickly play. This tier list is just about OP players that were on FIFA, and I'll be ranking them from GOAT to D, D obviously being the worst. But the reason I like playing FIFA is because I can grind it a lot, and I'm not that bad at it. So I quite enjoy, I like to try and win at games. I'm very competitive. I do like to, even in real life, I'm a competitive person. I don't like losing, but I'm not a sore loser. That's my thing. So yeah, starting off, we got Naldo. I'm pretty sure this is FIFA, not 13, FIFA 14. Naldo for me has to be, I think he was a class OP, but I don't think he's up here. Abubakar, for me was OP, but I never thought he was that great. Sanson was class OP. I remember using him. Very good card on that game. Royce, this was FIFA 13. FIFA 13, in my opinion, had the most overpowered players. Royce, I actually think he's a legendary OP, but I don't think he's as good as some of these players. Eric Bailey on FIFA, this must have been about 17, 16, something like that. Eric Bailey was OP, but he wasn't over ridiculous. Doumbia, GOAT. Doumbia was so annoying to come up against. He's that kind of player, you come up against and you could see a 99 rated striker, and you would actually be more scared to come up against this Doumbia, because he was just ridiculous for his rating. This David Luiz card, go OP. I remember, I saw teams with some team of the years, and this David Luiz card was actually outperforming those cards. It was so ridiculous. I had it in most of my teams on FIFA 13, but yeah, I hated this card so much. Chicory, something like that. He was a class OP, but he wasn't legendary status. He was a class OP because even though his stats don't look that good, he was one of those players that was 5-star weak foot and 5-star skill moves, which made him a very good striker. But the problem was, he was one of those players that was just impossible to link, so no matter how good he was, you had to have a bad team around him because of the players that linked to him. Chris Smalling, I remember this Chris Smalling being, I reckon he was a legendary OP. He was so good on that game. Literally, he would win everything. He was strong in the air, strong on the ground. Oh, it was so good. Freddie Gwine, class OP. I don't think he was legendary in my opinion, but he was very good. Jack Butland, go OP. This card gives me nightmares playing against. Every time I was more worried about coming up against this 82 rated card than 99 rated goalkeeper. I don't think there was 99, but I think Neuer at the time was highest rated. He didn't bother me, but this Jack Butland did, mainly because of the style he had and also how tall he was. Sal, I remember Sal being a class OP, but not quite up there with the rest of them. S-Wine, now for me he's going to be legendary, but a lot of people will say he's GOAT. He just didn't work for me, that's the problem. That's why I put him legendary OP. He was very good, and he was so annoying to come up against, but for me, he wasn't. I just didn't click with him. But yeah, FIFA 13. Oh my god, the ridiculous players they had on that game. Martial for me was class OP. It's one card that you expect to perform though, like, whereas something like this, Doumbia, like, yeah, it looks good, but you wouldn't expect it to perform as well as others. Like, you expected this card to be decent, really. Ramirez, legendary OP. For an 81 rated player, he was just ridiculous. And plus, it was FIFA 13, so what you could do was get a perfect link with him and David Luiz. That's what made it even more ridiculous. Podolski for me, legendary OP. The only problem that let him down was that weak foot. He couldn't use his right foot, but anything that went on his left foot he would score. I remember him being one of my favourite players this game. Balotelli, FIFA 14. He was a class OP. Wasn't overly ridiculous, but he was class. Wellington, go OP. One of my favourite players on this game. I would probably say there's a few players that I remember being ahead of him. One player I would add to this list is Loic Remy on FIFA 13. He was the most ridiculous player. I would have him with Benzema and who was the other cam? I think it was Falbreno at the time. And that team I was undefeated with. I played against a bunch of my friends, and normally I would come like second, third in our friend group. When I had that team, I never lost. I never lost against them, which was crazy. The Benteke FIFA 14. I remember him being really good. I don't know if it's FIFA 14 though. It might be 15. But there was one year where like pace didn't matter basically. Ibarbo again, legendary. I think this was a similar FIFA where Doumbia was at the same in the Serie A as well. But those two, disgusting strike force. Horrible to come up against. Felipe Santana. I actually thought this was Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang a minute ago. This was a GOAT OP. He was so ridiculous, and he was ridiculous for quite a few years. So yeah. Alexandra Pato. I mean, none of these I'm going to put in D because they're all pretty good. Alexander Pato, though, I think personally, 83 rated. He wasn't as good as I remember him being. This Mancini card didn't perform as well, but it was a ridiculous card, and his stats, like, bear in mind he's 82 rated. 85 pace, 85 shooting, 86 dribbling for a striker. If you had those stats on a player now, you'd at least be looking around 85. Like, it was crazy. Emenike, I actually think should have his own tier list. One, because of how legendary and overpowered he was in the game, but also just he broke the FIFA YouTube scene with KSI. It was so funny when KSI bought him, and to be fair, he broke his price because they found out how ridiculous he was. But I don't think he was the best player. I think personally FIFA 13, the best striker in that game, probably it was Loic Remy in my opinion, but a lot of people would say Swine. Dede was ridiculous, but I don't think he was as good as Felipe Santana or David Luiz. But the thing was, you could link all three of these. You just make Brazil team basically. So that's my opinion of OP players on FIFA 13 to FIFA 20. Obviously, might do a tier list next year of OP players that I've used before, maybe Christmas, on FIFA 21, but we'll wait and see. But I'm really excited for the next FIFA game. It's one of my favourite games to play. mainly because I love football as well. I love watching football. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Comment down below any other video ideas you got for me, and I will see you very soon, and hope you have a good day.